Well, good morning, Bayshore family. It is so good to be back with you all, and you guys look good. You look good. Now, I can only see half your face, all right? But the top half of your face looks amazing. But is anybody glad to be in church today? Anybody in Millsboro glad to be in church? Anybody in Rehoboth? Come on, Rehoboth, make some noise. Fenwick, make some noise. It's good to be back with you all. Now, I know some of you here in Millsboro and at our Fenwick location are like, wait, who's this guy? Because he kind of looks like the normal guy. Like they're both bald and like wildly stylish. No, you weren't thinking that at all. But if I haven't met you all, my name is Joel. I'm the campus pastor at a Rehoboth Beach location. Shout out Rehoboth, miss you all. And the reason I look like the normal guy, if you're from Millsboro or our Fenwick location, is because the normal guy, Pastor Danny, that's my dad, all right? And some of you right now are like, oh, great, Pastor Danny's not speaking today. I am so bummed out. And if you're thinking that, I'm not even upset that you're thinking that, because I'm sort of thinking the same thing, all right? And so if this is your first Sunday here or at our Fenwick location and you think today is okay, then come back next weekend because you get to hear the normal guy and he is the best. But while we are all together, something good about today is all of our campuses are all together in this moment right now. And so shout out to Rehoboth, to Butch and Amy in the front row, hopefully. Hey to Robin, Heather Little at our Fenwick location. Hey to Dave Bafford, my buddy, who watches online. So glad you guys are with us. And since we're all together, I thought we'd just do something fun today. I need everybody to play along. Rehoboth, I have spies there. I can see what's happening. Fenwick, Jeremy is making sure you're all doing this. I need everybody at every location to just air high five 3 people right now and just tell them that's the best looking face mask I've ever seen, okay? 3 people, air high five them, tell them that's the best face mask you have ever seen. You have to do it, play my games, come on. Go ahead right now. Everybody here do that. This is how we meet and greet in the middle of a pandemic right here. All right, come back to me. Some of you are like trying to get a date out of it. It's like, hey, that's the best face mask I've ever seen. And do you want to go to Five Guys after this? That's a smart move to do that in that moment right there. But we're talking about love today, and I thought I would just start out by telling you guys a little bit about myself. Some of you don't know me that well. As a kid, I went to East Millsboro Elementary right here in Millsboro. Any East Millsboro Elementary alumni? Any like Golden Knights in the house? 2 people. All right, that's awesome. That's okay. But I went there to East Millsboro Elementary School, and I was an 80s kid in East Millsboro Elementary School. That's when I was in school then. And so I thought we'd all kind of like take a journey back to the 80s, kind of feel 80s in elementary school for a second. And so like as an 80s kid in elementary school, you knew that MC Hammer was at the top of the charts, baby. And every elementary school kid in the 80s asked their mom if they could get some MC Hammer pants. And every mom said, no, you can't. Everybody felt that, 80s kids felt that. In the 80s, every kid had a jean jacket, rocked a JanSport backpack, and could not wait for computer class to play the Oregon Trail. Come on, who knows what I'm talking about? Oh yeah, all the kids, all the teenagers in the room right now are like, what are we talking about? What does all this mean? But this was school in the 80s, and in the 80s, I had 2 favorite subjects. Everybody had favorite subjects in school. My favorite subjects in school was library and gym. Now, here's why gym was my favorite, because my gym teacher was Miss LaShura. And Miss LaShura was the best. And when I was a kid, like 30 years ago, she was like 90 years old then. And I've heard she is still around the town of Millsboro, and she could probably bench press all of us. And so Miss LaShura was amazing. And in gym class, Miss LaShura always had us do warm-ups. And so I thought we kind of like warm up for today's message. And so I need everybody to play along. And everybody just put your hands straight out. Normally, Miss LaShura made us do this, all right? But I don't want you to like church chop the person next to you. So we're going to go straight out. And in warm-ups, we used to do circles. Anybody remember these circles? And she'd have you do bigger circles, like wax on. You'd be waxing on, so a little bigger circles. And eventually, we would get real big. All right, don't get too big, because I don't want to elbow and have an insurance liability situation. Jeremy wouldn't like that. But we would eventually get real big circles. And we will warm up. All right, everybody can stop doing the warm-ups, but now you're ready for today's message. But I love gym class. It's my favorite class in school, in elementary school. My second favorite class in elementary school was library. Now, I know some of you are impressed right now. You're like, oh, Joel is a reader. And readers are leaders, like kids. You got to be like Joel. Okay, no. The reason that library was my favorite class was not because I loved to read, but because in the 80s, if you read 5 books a month, you got a free personal pan pizza from the Pizza Hut. Who remembers the Book It program from the Hut? Anybody remember that? I love the Book It program. I found the Book It button this week on the internet. We'll put it there. Here we go. Oh, this is what I live for right here. I didn't love to read, but I love free pizza. And in elementary school, listen, I lived to fill up the stickers on this button. Like my first crush in elementary school, besides Amy Grant. Okay, like I was a church kid. Everybody loved Amy Grant. But my first crush was free pizza. And it's amazing how many books I was willing to read in the 80s to get a pretty bad personal pan pizza. It only cost $2.99. But I would go to the library and I would rent out 3 different types of books. I would rent out Curious George, and I would rent out World War II books, and I would rent out Where's Waldo, which is a weird combination right there. And reading Where's Waldo books for like your Book It thing, listen, that's not even a book you read. It's a picture book, which worked out great for me. Not so great for Pizza Hut, but I would read one of those 3 types of books, and I would put like a sticker on here, and then I would put this button on my JanSport book bag, and I would walk around the school like I was MC Hammer, like I was too legit to quit reading. I loved me some Book It reading and getting the Pizza Hut free pizza. Now, the book Where's Waldo, or the series Where's Waldo, you guys remember that book, Where's Waldo? I think we have a picture of Where's Waldo. Look, yeah, this is one of these. I'm feeling nostalgic right here. And what would happen is you just had to look through this picture to find the red striped Waldo guy in this picture somewhere. And as an 80s kid, we would spend hours looking for Waldo. All right, nowadays, like kids spend hours on TikTok, I don't even know what it is, all right? Whatever y'all do, but back in the day, we used to get on here and we would look for Where's Waldo, and Waldo was hard to find. And here's why I brought Waldo into this message, because finding good news this year has been sort of like, Where's Waldo? All right, like finding good news has been kind of hard to find over the past year. You know what I'm talking about? And this past year has been the craziest year of my life. And it hit me this week that it has been exactly, or close to exactly, 1 year since like school shut down. It's been a year since our church had to shut down for a while. It's been a year since Disney World shut down. Guys, you know things are rough when Mickey won't even take your money. You know what I'm talking about? And so like it's been a year since a lot of this stuff happened. And for the last year, we have been living in history, people. We've been like stuck inside with the people that we love the most. And some of us are getting a little tired of them, right? For the last year, some of us have been homeschool teaching our kids. Lord, help our next generation. For the last year, some of us have, or all of us, we've been wearing face masks for years. Some of you have been wearing the same face mask for the last year. And there's like things growing in there. But here's what I know about this last year, all right? I was just thinking about it. You remember last March or before last March when like kids were in school and we used to like all brush our teeth because we weren't wearing face masks and people could smell our breath? Remember like back before this past year, like we could hug? Remember we used to be able to hug? Doesn't it seem like 200 years ago since we could hug? I found this picture on the internet this week that I think kind of sums up what's happened over the last year to us. Like last year in March, we were all kind of like baby Yoda. We were like fresh. We were wide-eyed, okay? But fast forward 1 year during the pandemic, and we all kind of look like geriatric Yoda. Well, we got hair growing out of our ears. We need some oil of Olay treatment on us or something. Listen, it's been a long year. And if you would have told me last March that this March, my kids would still be like, I would still be their homeschool teacher. If you had told me that last March, that this March, the only thing better than wearing one face mask would be wearing 2 face masks, I would have told you, I think your face mask straps are on too tight. I think you're losing oxygen to what's going on up here. But there's not been a lot to love about this past year. And so finding good news this past year has been kind of like, where's Waldo? But I got some good news. You guys ready for some good news? Here's some good news, all right? Here's some good news for you in Rehoboth, good news in Falmouth, good news if you're watching online. The good news is we made it. We have made it a year. Like, come on. We have made it a year. That is a win right there. And if you miss everything I say today, don't miss this. Don't miss this. The sun is going to shine again. It may feel dark right now, but it is always darkest before the dawn, and we are going to make it, people. And so don't give up, because God's love never gives up on us. And so I need everybody at every campus right now to say, don't give up. Come on, go ahead and say it. Don't give up. Don't give up. Online family, just type that in the chat. Don't give up. Now, I know some of you are thinking, you're like, oh, okay, this is great, honey, but like, what does this have to do with love? And did you find Waldo in that picture? Because they took it down before I was able to find Waldo, and I'm pretty sure he was up in that top right corner. Listen, I get that you're asking that, and so let me just kind of like tell you why I brought all this up, okay? I want to jump back into the love chapter in the Bible where Pastor Danny left off last weekend and where I left off in the Rehoboth campus last weekend. And we're going to be in 1 Corinthians 13, verse 7. Just look at the screen. This is so good. Love never gives up. How good is that? And it gets better. Love never gives up. Love never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. Like, how interesting is it that on the 1 year anniversary of everything being shut down, the next verse in the chapter that we just so happen to be working through says, love never gives up. Love never fails. Okay, love always hopes. Love endures through every circumstance. So I'm just here to tell somebody, listen, don't give up. I'm here to tell somebody, listen, all right, don't lose faith. Stay hopeful, because love, God's love, endures through every single circumstance. And so if you're taking notes, I want you to write down what I'm about to say. If you're not taking notes, I want you to write down what I'm about to say. It's this, and we'll put this on the screen. When we were stuck, God stuck by us. And so let's stick by each other. When we were stuck, God stuck by us. So let's stick by each other. So I'm curious, everyone, every campus, by a raise of hands, how many of you love the snow? Any snow people in the room? Snow people? Not a lot of love for snow in Millsboro. Okay, what about this? How many of you love 80 and sunny and a snow cone? That's the kind of snow you're into. Anybody? Yeah, there's a love. That's what I'm kind of about. But here's the thing about actual snow. The problem with actual snow for me is it creates a little tension in my marriage. And here's what I mean. Whenever it snows, Stacy and I, my wife, have very different philosophies about how the driveway should get shoveled. All right, my philosophy is don't shovel it. Like, let's just wait for it to melt. Let's let science do what science does. All right, like that's how I like snow to deal with the snow in the driveway. Who's with me? All the men. All the men are with me on that one. Stacy's philosophy is that somebody should shovel the driveway at least 7 times during the entire snow event. And that somebody has a name, and his name is me, Emmy. But she's always like clever about how she says it. She'll be like, hey, baby, we should like go out and shovel the driveway right now. Now, every married man knows that we means what? We means me, right? That means you got to get out there and shovel the driveway. And so I remember a few years ago, we got a big snowstorm in Delaware. I'm talking a big snowstorm. It happened on a Friday. We had so much snow that we actually had to cancel church that Sunday. I think we took a picture. I took a picture. This is me in front of the Rehoboth campus that Sunday. Look at this snow. This is some snow. Okay, so this weekend years ago it snowed. And it snowed on a Friday. This snow came on a Friday, and it was super windy that Friday. And it created like this 3-foot snowdrift at the end of my driveway. All that wind and all that snow created this huge snowdrift at the end of my driveway while my wife was at work. Now, my wife started coming home from work, and there's snow everywhere. She's driving the family minivan home, and I'm sure she was thinking, my man is probably out there in the snow right now, like shoveling the driveway for me. He is so muscular. He is so dreamy. I'm sure that's what she was thinking. That was not what I was doing, people. What I was doing is I was standing in my house looking out the window while watching Star Wars thinking, what an amazing time to be alive. Like I'm in here, there's snow out there, I got Darth Vader on the TV. Like I was living my best life, you guys, until as I'm looking out the window, true story, I saw my wife's van like come around the corner of the neighborhood. And that's when it hit me like, oh, I probably should have cleared out the driveway. And so Stacy gets into the front of our house. There's this giant snowdrift in front of our house. It looks like an Evel Knievel ramp. And I don't know if Stacy was just mad or feeling inspired when she saw the Evel Knievel ramp, because she took our family minivan, true story. She mashed that gas pedal like she was Evel Knievel at the end of our driveway. She hit the ramp, okay, the Evel Knievel 3-foot snowdrift, and all I saw was this big poof of snow. And the van was gone, like disappeared. I'm like, where'd my baby go? Okay, where'd she go? And then like the snow kind of like came down, and that's when I saw our family minivan was like seesawing on top of this snowdrift. And it was stuck. Like she was trying to go still, and those wheels are just spinning like this. And I thought like, this isn't good. This is not good for me. This is definitely not good for our marriage. This is not good. She was stuck. S-T-U-C-K, stuck. And I was thinking about that, and it's never fun to be stuck. And we've all been kind of stuck for a year, kind of like my family minivan was stuck. We've been stuck inside. We've been stuck with our boo thing, our barbecue sauce to our ribs. You know, hey, baby, you're the best. But we've been stuck with each other. We've been stuck with our 5 and 7-year-old. Hello. We've been stuck eating carry out. Y'all been stuck like watching Netflix, watching The Tiger King. Y'all been stuck on Facebook. Not a lot of love on there. We've been stuck over this past year. And I don't know about you, but one of the things that I notice when I get stuck in life is that like I can kind of get like cabin fever. And this last year, I'm all of a sudden starting to get cabin fever. Hey, anybody with me? You're just like, you need to get out. And here's what I know about having cabin fever. When we're like stuck inside with the people we love the most, we can start to like turn on each other. It can turn into the Hunger Games in our house. Hello. It can turn into the Hunger Games for parents. It definitely turned into the Hunger Games on social media this past year, right? And when we feel stuck, we can kind of like start to stick things on other people. We can kind of get short on love, right? You remember like before last March or in last March when everything kind of, we had to be stuck at home, everyone like, we all kind of looked at our families and we're like, this is going to be so great. We're going to like cherish every moment together. And by this March, we're all like, you know what I'm going to cherish? I'm going to cherish if somebody within this house will go to work. I'll cherish when these kids go to school because we need to social distance from each other. And when we get stuck in life, we can kind of it turns into the Hunger Games. We can kind of like go after each other a little bit. And so when we get stuck, we can kind of like stick things on the people that we love the most. So I want to show you what I mean by this. Nate, could you come up here? Everybody in the house, give Nate some love right now. Fenwick, Rehoboth, give Nate some love. You know I love you, right, Nate?
I know you do.
All right. I'm going to show these people what happens kind of when we get like cabin fever and it turns into the Hunger Games in our house. And then we turn it into I'm going to call it the sticky games. Sticky games. All right. So I'm going to say some mean things to you, but like it's just pretend.
Okay.
And we're in church, so you got to forgive me.
Got you.
You got it? Okay. All right. So I got some of these right here. And these are going to represent the things that we say to each other, to the people that we love. When we're kind of like stuck and we got some cabin fever, we can throw some things at each other. We can be like, and this isn't about Nate, but we can say, do you not see this dishwasher? It is 5 feet away from you. If you don't put your dishes in this dishwasher, I'm going to bury you in the dishwasher. And we can like throw that and stick it to the other person. We can be like, hey, no wonder you can't shoot a deer. Because you definitely can't aim and hit the toilet. That wasn't about you. Like Jen didn't tell me that. Just put it out there. We can say all kinds of mean things to each other. We can be like, hey, you're just like your father. Or you drive like your mother. Does your mom drive good? Yeah, look, he's throwing them too, right? And we can like say all this stuff. We like, what is this you're wearing? What is this? What are you, like a Steelers fan now? Like, I don't even know what this vest is. And we can like throw all this stuff on each other. When we got cabin fever, we can kind of like try to stick things on other people. It can turn into the Hunger Games and we can play the sticky game. And the things that we say to the people that we love the most, like it sticks to them. That's the bad news. But that's also the good news, because when you say good things to the people that you love the most, that sticks to them too. And so you can kind of flip it and you can say things like, man, Nate, you on these keys, you're like the greatest keyboard player in the world, my man. Just like, you're trying to be humble, but like, you're good, man. You can say things to your kids that kind of like build them up, even though we're like crazy. We're all been together a little too much. You can be like, hey kids, you painted this picture? This is amazing. Like, what did you paint this on? Oh, this is my W-2. Okay, that's okay. The IRS is probably going to like arrest me, but it's good. Like, you are an amazing painter. You can be like, hey, you're the best homeschool teacher I've ever seen, to your wife or your husband. You can say, look at this sweater. This is amazing. You're looking good, Nate. Now, you're going to be a dad, right? Yes, sir. Coming up, let me just tell you this. I think you're going to be a great dad. You're going to be fun. I've seen you with my kids. I've seen you with the kids at Splash over here. You're going to be fun. You're going to put a smile on your kids' face. You're probably going to teach them to be the best musicians and the best YouTubers in the entire world. And you're going to be a good dad, man. And we can stick amazing things on people in our life. Okay, so everybody just give Nate a hand. Give Nate a hand. Thank you, Nate. You can take those with you. You just wear them forever. But we can stick good things on the people that we love the most. And we can also stick not so good things on the people that we love the most. And here's what's interesting. When we stick like bad things and we shame other people, that's not the Jesus way. You want to hear something interesting? I think this is interesting. Shame did not show up in the Bible until sin entered the picture. Before sin, there was no shame. Now, here's what happened. In the very beginning of Genesis, you got Adam and Eve, If you're a Sunday school kid, like Adam and Eve sitting in a tree, Kissing, then up came a serpent like a water hose and said, hey, Eve, why don't you eat one of those? All right, I'm probably the only one who had that much Sunday school. But anyway, Adam and Eve, they sinned. They ate the apple they shouldn't have eaten. And then they started they had this shame, so they started throwing stuff at each other. They're like, I can't believe you made me eat that. They're sticking all this stuff on each other. And then they realized after they sinned, they had some shame because they were naked. Or as my dad likes to put it, they were naked. All right, they were naked. All right. And then God showed up, and did God shame them? No. You know what it says that God did? It says that God made coverings for them. Now, people way smarter than me, theologians, say that these coverings were probably animal skins, and so that would have meant that God would have had to kill an animal, and most people believe that animal that God would have killed to make these coverings for Adam and Eve would have been an innocent lamb to cover up their shame. Does any of this sound familiar at this point? Because Jesus had a nickname. His nickname was the innocent Lamb of God. And when he went on the cross, he did that to cover our shame, to stick grace on us. And so I don't know what you believe about God. Maybe you believe that God is out to shame you. And he's like, I saw that. I caught you. Oh, I remember spring break 1993. I still see your butterfly tattoo from spring break 1993. Maybe that's what you think God is. He's out to just point and pick you apart. And if that's what you think about God, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're in Rehoboth. I'm so glad you're in Fenwick, because listen, you need to hear this. Jesus did not die to shame you. Jesus died to save you. Jesus did not die to shame you. He died to save you. And so you may say, well, how do you know that? Well, here's how I know that. Because God is love, right? And what is love? Well, love never gives up. Love never loses faith. Love is always hopeful. And love endures every single circumstance and stupid thing we did at spring break 1993. Hello. And so that's all out of 1 Corinthians 13:7, which means Don't give up. God will never give up on you. God will never lose faith in you. God will always have hope for you. And his love can endure any single thing you have ever done. And he wants to stick that on you. He wants to stick grace on you. He wants to stick forgiveness on you. He wants to stick mercy on you. Is anybody thankful for that? Anybody thankful for that at all? That's good news. Which means in the best relationships, we value the best qualities in people and not their worst moments. The relationships in our house, like we need to value the best qualities of people and not people's worst moments. So I know we're all stuck right now and we're all kind of like got a little cabin fever, but let's stick grace on the people we love. Let's stick mercy on the people we love. Let's stick forgiveness on the people we love because that's what Jesus stuck on us. And so let's just be good to people. Let's be like, hey, honey, this dinner you made last night, it is so good. What kind of hot dogs are these? You know, just pump them up. Maybe you just say to your boo, you just say, hey, baby, what the Bachelor, we're going to watch The Bachelor again tonight? Okay, well, listen, I hate The Bachelor, but I will give you a rose every single time, baby. Or let's show more love on social media than we share politics. Like, what would happen if we just shared some love? That would be something right there. Because listen, when we were stuck, God did not give up on us. And so we should just stick some love and give some love to the people in our life because love never gives up. Love never loses faith. Love is always hopeful and love endures every single circumstance, even what this last year has brought us. So that's my first point. My last point is this. If you're taking notes, we'll put this on the screen. God's love believes the best about us. So let's believe the best about each other. God's love believes the best about us, so let's believe the best about each other. So I'm curious, has anybody here ever lost a kid? Come on, be honest. You're in church. If you ever lost a kid, raise your hand. Wow, that's actually surprisingly comforting and equally terrifying right there. Some of you walked into church today with a kid, and I just asked you if you ever lost your kid, and you look down and you're like, where'd he go? Where'd my kid go? Listen, most parents have lost a kid before. Let me tell you why I brought that up. Because back in September of this past year, me and my wife, we moved into our new house. And there is nothing better than moving into a new house. And there is nothing worse than move-in day. Hello. And so moving day was crazy. We had some people come over to help us. Actually, Jeremy and Reagan from our Fenwick campus came and helped us out. Thank you guys for that. We had some people helping us. And on moving day, it was so busy that I was only like vaguely aware that I even owned children. Like I knew I had a few kids, but like they could have taken an Uber down to Key West and I would have had no idea on moving day. It was just a crazy day. And this is also why I can't be like a volunteer in Bayshore Kids because I just was not sure where my kids were. So at some point we're moving some stuff and I think it was Reagan who said like, hey Joel, where's Nora and Nixon? And I was like, who now? And she's like, where's your kids? And I'm like, because I hadn't seen them in like 6 hours. I don't know. It's been a long time. And so we started getting frantic. Everybody's like looking everywhere for my kids. We're like running around. We're looking inside. We're looking outside. We're playing like, where's Waldo with my kids? And they were gone. Waldo was gone. And so I started panicking. Me and Stacy, we started believing the worst. We're like, oh no, somebody caught him, or Sussex County Seagull swooped down and like grabbed them. We're thinking they did take that Uber down to Key West and we're panicking, looking everywhere. And every parent knows that feeling where you like think you lost your kid and you're like, how did I lose a kid? And I was thinking like, how did I lose 2 kids, right? And so we're looking everywhere and we're like believing the worst. And we're like, should we call the HOA? Should we call the FBI, the CIA, the Pentagon? What do we do? And I'm sure my neighbors were like looking around. It was our first day there. They're like, this pastor, like he needs to keep a better watch on his flock. Like it's where he lost his kids. And finally we found my kids and they were totally fine. They were in my neighbor's backyard playing by their pond, having the greatest day of their life. And we found them. We were talking to my kids, and my kids are like still talking to the neighbor. And they're like, can we come over whenever we want? I'm like, have you kids not learned anything about stranger danger? Like, do you not even remember any of this? But we believed the worst. And let me just tell you, I'm stressed out just telling that story because it just messed with me. And here's why I bring that up. Because what we believe makes a big impact in our life. What we believe makes a big impact in our life. You remember like last March when like, I don't know if this happened to you, but when this whole pandemic thing happened, every time I cough at first, I'd be like, then I'd be like, oh no. I'll be like, baby, I think I got it. I believe I got it. And she's like, no, you're fine. Every time we would eat dinner, and I'd be like, I can't taste my food. I got it. She'd be like, we're eating rice, honey. I'm like, I still can't taste the rice. She's like, nobody can taste the rice, but I believed I had it. How many of you have like false diagnosed yourself with the pandemic sickness like 1 or 10 times? Come on, let's be honest in church. How many of you have had that moment? Yes, I see you guys. And that happens to us. And what we believe makes a big impact in our life. And listen, y'all, I don't know what's going to happen over the next year. We may have another spike in cases. Kids may not go back to school for a while. Lord help us. I don't know, what they're going to say next. They may say, hey, guys, listen, if wearing 2 face masks is good, can you imagine how safe it would be if we all wore 5 face masks? Listen, I don't know. But I do know what you believe about God and what you believe that God believes about you will define how you walk through this next year. And if you believe that God believes the best about you, if you believe the best about God, I'm telling you, you will be able to walk through whatever this next year throws at us. And you won't just like walk through it. I don't think you're just going to survive this next year if you believe the best about God and believe the best about the people around you. I believe you're going to thrive through this next year because what you believe makes a big impact in your life. And love endures. Love believes the best about each other. Let me show you what the love chapter author, Paul, says in a different book. Not Corinthians, but in Romans. Paul says this. Same guy who wrote what we read earlier. He says, love each other with what? Genuine affection. And take delight in honoring each other. Love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. All right, that basically is like saying, hey, let's believe the best about each other. Everybody, online family, I just want you to type in the comments, believe the best about each other. Everybody at all of our campuses, let's just say this on 3, believe the best about each other. All right, on 3, believe the best about each other. 1, 2, 3, believe the best about each other. That is such a big deal. Listen, genuine affection, if we can put that verse back on the screen, genuine affection means we genuinely see the good in the people that we love the most. This honoring each other means we find something honorable in everybody. In other words, like we give people the benefit of the doubt. I think this is super interesting that the New York State University, or the State University of New York, they did this study a few years ago, and they were just trying to figure out what keeps marriages together the longest. Like, what is the key that keeps marriages thriving? What keeps like marriages red hot, baby? What makes them like lava fire? What is it that just keeps relationships together? And so they're just trying to figure out like, what's the secret sauce? And you know what they found out? They found out that the main thing that kept relationships and marriages, and they were particularly on marriages, what kept those relationships together the longest was husbands who interpreted their wife's behavior in the most generous way possible. In other words, it was husbands who saw or believed the best about their wife. All the wives right now are like, yeah. Oh, I like that study right there. But you know what that looks like when you believe the best about your wife? Okay, here's what it doesn't look like, okay? It doesn't look like this, husbands, when you're like, I can't believe she's been in the bathroom for 5 years getting ready. What, is she trying to give me a heart attack? No, what it's saying is you say, she's been in the bathroom for 5 years getting ready. She's going to look real nice tonight. She's trying to look good for me. It's believing the best about her. It's not saying, look, honey, I can't believe this minivan. It is so dirty. What, are you trying to give me a heart attack? It's saying, honey, look at this minivan. It is so well stocked in here. There's so many things in here. We could survive a zombie apocalypse. There's so many things in here. And it's just believing the best about your spouse. And listen, the best relationships, the secret to the best relationships is believing the best about the other person. It's believing the best about the other person. Why? Because what you believe makes a big impact in your life. Listen, I'm so big about the things that you believe, because if you believe that your marriage is worth fighting for, it will be. If you believe that you can homeschool, teach your 5-year-old to read, I did that, okay. But if you believe you can do that, you will. If you believe that your job is a blessing, it will be. If you believe that that you can get clean with God's help and rehab, listen, you will. And I need everybody to lean in, okay? Everybody, Millsboro, you're right here, so you're going to do this with me. So everybody lean in here, but Rehoboth, you got to lean in. Bo Dukes will come after you if you don't lean in. You got to lean in Rehoboth. I think Reagan is like making sure you're all doing this. Lean in, everybody lean in. Listen, we rarely grow beyond what we believe. We rarely grow beyond what we believe. We have this tendency to have our actions support what we believe inside, which means whether you believe you can or can't, you're probably right. And I'm not just talking about like the power of positive thinking. You all can like sit back now. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not just talking about the power of positive thinking. When you believe something, it releases something in us. When you believe that Jesus saved you, that releases salvation in us. When you believe that Jesus believes the best about you, that gives you a gear, that releases a gear inside of you that you didn't even know existed. Church, listen. When you know that Jesus believed in you, when you know that God believed in you, you know that the God of the cosmos, the God who is the God of Rehoboth, the God that's the God of Fenwick, the God that's the God of Millsboro, the God that is the God of Scrapple. Come on. How many of you know the Lord had to create Scrapple? All right, like when you know that God believes in you, that gives you a different gear than you even knew you had. And that gear can help you believe the best about the people in your life. And so over the next year, I don't know what's going to happen this next year. I don't know what's going to happen this next week. I don't know what kind of bad news is going to happen. I don't know how many more Super Bowls Tom Stinkin' Brady is going to win in the future. I have no idea. But here's what I do know. I do know that because of God's love, we can make it. I do know that because of God's love, we don't have to give up. Because of God's love, we can endure it. We can endure it. Listen, all right, we won't give up as a church. We're not going to give up as Jesus followers. We're not going to give up as husbands and wives and moms and dads and neighbors and friends and coworkers and church family. We are not going to give up. We can endure because Paul said love endures every single circumstance. And maybe you're here today and you don't think that you just don't feel the love in your life. You don't feel like anybody believes in you. And if that's kind of where you are, I just want to read something I wrote today. And I think this is for somebody. I don't know who this is for, but if you just don't feel like anybody believes in you, you don't feel valuable. I just want you to hear this. God believes you are lovable. God believes that you are valuable. God believes in you so much, he didn't cancel you, but he did cancel your sin. Listen, God believes you can endure homeschool teaching your kids. Ha! Put that in there to encourage myself. But God believes that you can change. God believes that you can start to laugh again. God believes that you can have joy again. God believes that you can have peace in your life again. God believes that you can do all things through him. Listen, God believes your marriage is worth fighting for. God believes that your strained relationships are worth fighting for. God believes that you won't just survive this next year, but we can thrive through this next year. God believes that one day you are going to hear him say, well done, my good and faithful servant. Listen, God believes that you are worth dying for, so you got a whole lot worth living for. And so God believes in you. And so don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Paul says, don't give up because love never gave up on you. And this whole idea of love never giving up, I just want to end with a story. Speaking of not giving up, in my neighborhood that I live in, there's a four-way stop when you pull up there. And the other day I was pulling in my neighborhood and I was in my little car and I got to the four-way stop and there was a 1990s Ford Explorer in front of me. Okay, and I'm a 1990s Ford Explorer nowadays. That's basically like a vintage classic car, you guys. And so I'm behind this old, 1990s Ford Explorer, and I'm just like, I'm daydreaming about Jurassic Park, the movie, because of the Ford Explorer. Marketing, man. Anyway, so I'm just sitting there, I'm thinking about dinosaurs while I'm behind this Explorer, and I noticed something like dripping out from underneath the Explorer. And I'm like, what is that? And I didn't know what it was, and then I smelled gas. And I'm like, oh, that's gas. And then the Ford Explorer, who was right in front of me, they started to go. And as they started to go, gas, I'm not kidding, gas started pouring out of this Ford Explorer. It looked like the Exxon Valdez, guys. Like, it was just gas coming out like crazy. And then finally, in the middle of the intersection, the Ford Explorer stalled out. And so I was like going to get out to tell the person, hey, you got like a screen door as a gas tank. I didn't know what to do. And I was about to get out, but the guy got his Ford Explorer started before I could even get out of my car. And he started to go again. Now, when he started going again, gas started pouring out again. It looked like Niagara Falls. I'm like, he needs to have a mechanic explore the underneath of that Explorer. Like, he needs some help with that thing. And he started going, and he stalled out again. And I'm right behind this guy. Gas is pouring everywhere. And this must have happened 10 times in a row. It was like, stop, go. And every time he'd get it started, smoke would come out the pipe there, and it was like bad. And finally, he stopped, and I got out of my car to go and like run and help this guy. Now, little side note, if you're ever broken down, I am the last person you want to see show up to help you, all right? I'm the guy who has to watch a YouTube video, like, before I jump a car, all right? So I'm like, do I put the positive on the positive, or is this opposite day? Like, how does this, I don't even know how it works, all right? I just do whatever creates the least amount of sparks. And so, like, I can do all things through Christ. I can now fix a vehicle. And so I go to get out of my car to help this guy out. I get my foot out of the door. And this guy starts it up again, and he keeps going. And I'm like, how can this guy keep going? Like, there's no way. I thought there was nowhere the way he could get where he was going. But time after time, he just kept going. He kept going. He kept going. He kept going. And here's the thing. This past year has kind of been like that Ford Explorer, right? It's been like touch and go. It's been bad news and then worse news, right? And we can want to give up, or we can be like that guy driving that Ford Explorer. And we can say, hey, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. And we can keep going, and we can keep going, and we can keep going, and we can keep going. And listen, on the 1-year anniversary of the craziest year of my life, I just want to encourage you. Keep going. Keep going. Listen, when the news is bad, keep going. When everything seems like it's falling apart and you're like lonely from being isolated, keep going. When you're watching your kids struggle with online learning, it's kind of ripping at your heart, right? Just keep going. When you want to social distance from your boo thing, keep going. When you have fantasies about deleting the Zoom app from your phone, keep going. When Facebook makes you question all of humanity, keep going. Keep going. Everybody just say this with me. Keep going. Just say it with me. Every campus, keep going. Keep going. Because Paul said, and we'll put this on the screen as our final verse, Paul said, love never gives up. So keep going. Love never loses faith. So keep going. Love is always hopeful. So keep going. And love endures through every circumstance. So keep going. Let me pray for you guys. Jesus, it has been a weird year. It has been the wildest year of my entire life. And it's so interesting that on the Sunday of the year anniversary of this crazy year we've had, that the verse we just so happen to be on next says, don't give up. Love is always hopeful. Love endures every single circumstance. And I know, God, that you did that in our life. Like you overcame every circumstance. You never gave up on us. You always have faith in us. You are always hopeful for us. And I'm so thankful for that you did that in my life. And so, God, I pray that we'll walk out of church today with this new hope that we can keep going. That we're like that guy driving that Ford Explorer, and we know we're going to get where we are going. We're going to keep going. So just help us, whatever that looks like. In our relationships, help us to keep going. In our health, help us to keep going. In whatever our hopes and dreams are, help us to keep going. And Jesus, thank you that you just kept going for us, and you gave it all for us. We love you so much, Jesus. In your name, amen. Hey, I'm going to throw it back to somebody at the Fenwick campus right now, and Cotter at our Rehoboth campus. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today, and they will tell you what is next.